Hey there, welcome. If you've ever wrestled with brittle workflows, you'll love this. Unmeshed gives our user detailed monitoring when you need it, the ability to scale without limits, and reliable operations that just work. Let's jump in. A process is a collection of steps that you execute to achieve your business use case. So let's take a deeper look at what a step is. When you add a process definition, you can assemble your process with various types of steps that we offer. All the steps that we offer are available in this left panel here, which can also be searched for quick filtering. For example, in HTTP we have get, post, put, and delete. If you're accessing DynamoDB, you have the ability to put, update, get, and delete. And there are hundreds of such predefined tasks that are available for you that you can use to come up with your process definitions quickly. A lot of these are run by the Unmeshed server itself, and there are steps that you can run within your codebase as well. Let's take a look at some of these. First, let's look at HTTP. HTTP is a very common use case. When you use any sort of REST API endpoint calls or anything like that, you can drag and drop this at any point in your process definition and configure that for the options that it offers you, which includes things like endpoints, headers, parameters, payload, and so forth. You can even cache the response. If you have an expensive HTTP call, you can use the recently used cache based on the amount of time you want to cache it for, and by the key that you want to cache some system-defined steps that you might want to take note of. One example is a list. A list is just a collection of steps that you can use to be part of a parent container step. A parallel is another special step, where you can run multiple steps concurrently. And typically, if you drag and drop a single step, it will become a single parallel thread. But if you drag a list in there, you can actually assemble several steps in as a collection that will be executed one by one. So in this example, we have a parallel of threads. One thread will run one single HTTP task. The other one will run these two HTTP tasks in sequence. These collections are also useful in switch case. And switch case is the equivalent of an if-else statement. If you need to run a specific branch of code when the case matches, you might be able to leverage lists to run a collection of steps, as well as a single step that you could also run as part of the switch. So there are container steps such as list, parallel, switch, etc. And then there are specific steps that runs an action like HTTP. And then there is the action of running your own code. And this is referred to as a standard worker. And when you drag and drop this worker, it allows you to give a name and a reference. Using the name, it can map to the corresponding function that runs in your code, which is connected to the Unmeshed instance, such that when this step is reached in the process, it will invoke that particular function in your codebase. And that codebase can be in any language of your choice. This gives you a lot of flexibility in assembling a lot of the complex use cases using the standard steps that we offer. Plus, when it doesn't meet your requirements, you can always write the custom code that will run your own code and achieve your use cases. There are domain-specific steps, such as sending data to your SQL server, talking to LLM models, talking to Microsoft Teams, talking to Slack, and so forth. There are some control steps, such as exiting the process when it reaches, or a no-op step, if you just want to have a marker step there, and also failure process when it gets to that particular point. There is a lot of flexibility in how you can compose the sequence of steps in your orchestration flow to achieve your use cases. So explore all the steps that are available. And that wraps up today's demo. With Unmeshed, your workflow runs smarter and scales effortlessly. Want to keep learning? Head over to our docs for deeper dives or subscribe for upcoming videos. Until next time, happy orchestrating!